Good evening. Sorry guys, I've come out late tonight. Been on a few other channels. I was on the League Gunner channel earlier on today, and Man Knows Football, which is Gooney's channel. So check them out, guys. Earlier on today, talking all about the stuff relating to Chelsea Football Club, and of course, reading between the lines and all the nonsense and bullshit that's been spoken about. In terms of Roman Abramovich wanting his dough back, i.e. his £1.5 billion that he loaned to Chelsea Football Club. Just for the record, guys, as we speak, absolutely incredible game in the Bernabeu. After extra time, Real Madrid winning against Manchester City by 3-1. They were 1-0 down in the 90th minute, 5-3 behind on aggregate. I mean, with all intents and purposes, you're looking at an all-English final again, Man City-Liverpool. And, in the 90th minute, they get a goal back, and then 1 minute later, it's 2-1. They take it into extra time, and then Benzema penalty, game over. Just incredible, absolutely incredible. So, look, the point is, well, there's a lot of talk about us going into administration and not being able to meet the deadlines and all that sort of stuff. It's absolute nonsense. At the end of the day, the money once from the sale will be put into a frozen account, okay, and it'll be distributed. And it's actually up to Roman Abramovich and the British government to sort out that 1.5 billion. It won't stop the sale of Chelsea Football Club. It is just another load of nonsense and sensationalism, obviously written by the press. Rather interesting here, guys, this is Sky Sports. This is relating to the late Jim Ratcliffe's 4.25 billion bid to buy the club. Rejected out of hand. Any CEO, so Jim Ratcliffe, had tabled a late £4.25 billion bid to buy Chelsea on Friday. Group Director Tom Crotty said the offer had been rejected out of hand on Wednesday. Todd Boehly led consortium have until the end of the week to finalise terms and agreement to buy the club. So Jim Ratcliffe's bid to buy Chelsea has been rejected. The 69-year-old, who is the CEO of the Ineos Group Limited and widely regarded as being Britain's richest person, tabled a bid for the Blues on Friday, 4.25 billion. However, it is understood that Ratcliffe has not engaged in the process set out by the Rain Group, making it difficult for his bid to be considered. A consortium led by American businessman Todd Boehly have therefore been named as the preferred bidder by the Rain Group, and they have until the end of the week to finalise the terms of the agreement to buy the club. Well, we know that he's already been through the vetting process through the Premier League. Everything's cool there. This is another Sky Sports or Sky News report here. Chelsea FC sale, Clearlake stake in Blues to be reduced in restructured deal. The LA Dodgers part owner Todd Boehly and associates will inject the majority of an additional $500 million demanded by Roman Abramovich, resulting in a smaller stake for Clearlake Capital, the American private equity firm financing the preferred bid by Chelsea Football Club, will take a reduced stake in the Blues under a restructured deal that it wants to finalise within days. Sky News has learnt that Clearlake Capital is expected to own approximately 60%, so that's a little bit less than 66% of Chelsea shares. If the consortium spearheaded by Todd Boehly, the LA Dodgers partner, can strike a definite agreement with Roman Abramovich and his advisors. Californian-based Clearlake has been expected to own 66% of the Stamford Bridge club, with voting rights split equally between it and Mr. Boehly's group. However, the demand for an extra $500 million from Mr. Abramovich, made just days before Mr. Boehly was selected as the preferred bidder for Chelsea, will see the American and his individual co-investors injecting a majority of the additional money themselves. According to one insider, sources said that details were still being worked through, but that the restructured ownership agreement was likely to mean that Clearlake owns 60% of Chelsea, with Mr. Boehly and others holding the remaining 40% of the equity. News of the revised deal comes amid speculation that the club sale could be jeopardised by the uncertainty over the fate of a £1.5 billion loan owned by the club's parent company, Fordstam, to Camberley International Investments, a vehicle also associated with the oligarch. Sky News revealed last Thursday that Mr Abramovich's advisors at Rain had informed the bidders that the loan would be no longer written off by Mr Abramovich for legal reasons associated with the sanctions. However, the government is seen as being unlikely to issue the licence required to implement the sale unless the loan is dissolved, causing renewed anxiety about Chelsea's ability to operate beyond the expiry of its current licence at the end of May, which is bollocks, because at the end of the day, right, okay, it won't get to that point, and they'll just take command of the situation themselves, the British government, in which case the sale of the club will go through as expected, and then the divvying up of the money put into a separate account will remain frozen, and I guess it's up to Roman Abramovich and the British government to come to some kind of arrangement if his assets are going to return back to him at some point, I guess, in the future. It's interesting, though, hearing the likes of people like David Dean and that saying it should go, or the government even saying it should go into grassroots football. Well, maybe that's what's pissing off Roman, to be fair, because, like, let's be honest, he's lost his major asset and all that. I mean, that is his personal money, and who's to say that, you know, it's not like this war's going to go on forever and a day. There will come a time, no doubt, where sanctions are lifted against Russia. We will be trading with them at some point, I would imagine, because that's the way the world works. In which case, he's just protected his own interests. So people are making too much out of this, to be fair, guys. There's nothing to worry about. This is all going to press ahead. It says here, Clearlake is pressing ahead despite the confusion by aiming to secure rapid approval from the Premier League, having given assurances about the identities of the underlying investors. It's just sensationalism once again, guys. You know, the press doing whatever they can just to jazz it all up a bit. Clearlake and Boehly bid is understood to have offered a total price higher than the 4.25 publicly pledged by St Jim Ratcliffe, the chemicals tycoon, who of course tried to gatecrash the auction late last week. A director at Ineos, Sir Jim's chemical group, told Bloomberg News on Wednesday that its offer had been rejected out of hand by Rain, the merchant bank handling the sale, but will keep reminding people we are still here. Its chances of securing meaningful engagement are, however, regarded as extremely slim, with two other bidders regarded as more likely substitutes for the Clearlake funded offer if it cannot sign a deal by the end of the week. Well, you would imagine that they would stay. That particular offer by Jim Ratcliffe will be behind the other two. You would have thought so, because he hasn't actually gone through the process. A bit cheeky, really. It is a lastminute.com offer, direct to Chelsea, sort of bypassing the process with the Rain group. It says here, Ineos has done none of the due diligence of the contractual work undertaken by the other three bidders during a frenzied 2-month period, while Sir Jim's claimed to be the only British bidder has attracted derision, given that he left the UK to live in Monaco, tax-free haven, several years ago. The three final bidders all provided extensive plans for their management of the club and the redevelopment of Stamford Bridge, which with numerous real estate advisors engaged to work on the project. The preferred bidder for Chelsea is being advised by Goldman Sachs and Roby Warshaw, where the former Chancellor and Chelsea fan George Osborne now works as a partner. Sky News revealed at the weekend that two separate licences are likely to be issued by the government if the issues relating to the loan can be resolved. Well, as I said, if they become custodian of the affair, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, because the deal can go through and the government, as I said, will just place all the money, which will include Roman's 1.5 billion, into an account. And perhaps if it gets to that point, they will then, I don't know, do what they see fit with regards to the process of the actual sale of the club. but it's the 1.5 billion. Perhaps he's got a point on that one. So, we'll have to wait and see. But it's not going to affect, the process. So it's just a load of nonsense. It says here, Mr. Abramovich is said to be determined to donate at least 2.5 billion to a new foundation benefiting war victims, with last week's demand that the remaining bidders increase their offers by at least £500 million, made to enable £1 billion to be handed to charity on the day the deal completes. Uncertainty over the club's ownership already has been blamed for the departure of key players, including Antonio Rudiger and the German centre-half. And there's no doubt about it, it's causing a friction now. And as explained, I did say that those players are under the protection of Thomas Tuchel's bubble. That international break came about, and when those players went off either to Dubai, international duty, or amongst friends and family, that's when they've listened to all the doom and gloom merchants, because it's normal, yeah. And of course, what you think about will come about. And unfortunately, once the genie's out of the bottle, it's very hard to put it back in. By clinching the preferred bidder status, the Boehly Clearlake Group has committed not to sell a controlling stake in Chelsea for at least a decade. They can't sell the club for 10 years. That is a condition of sale. That guarantee, which is thought to be unprecedented in a football club auction, has been allied with one for minimum of further investment of £1 billion in its stadium, academy and women's team. Well, we know the stadium's going to cost more than £1 billion. So, again, we'll have to wait and see. And I'll be really interested to see their plans on that one. Will they be adopting the old plans by the architects and builders that built that stadium in Beijing, the birdcage? Well, we'll see what it looked like, Jury's out on that one for me. I wasn't a massive... I thought it looked unusual, iconic even, like no other stadium ever before, or but was I a real fan of it? Did it really jump out at me? I can't say it did, to be fair, The two defeated consortia were headed by the Boston Celtics part owner Steve Belluccia and Larry Tannenbaum, the NBA chairman and Toronto Maple Leafs owner, and Sir Martin Broughton, the former British Airways and Liverpool FC chairman, which would have involved Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, owner of a stake in Premier League side Crystal Palace, and a string of US sports teams holding a controlled interest. You see, that's another thing. And all those three bids, if you think about it, you've got the Steve Pagliuca consortium, where they're tied to Syria side Atalanta. You've got Sir Martin Broughton's bid, where you've got the two Crystal Palace shareholders. So there's a connection there. And Jim Ratcliffe, who's got the French side Nice. So if you like, they're all pretty much part and parcel. Whereas the Todd Boehly consortium doesn't have any of those issues. So there you go. A spokesman for the Clearlake Boehly consortium and Rain both declined to comment. Well, there you go, guys. So don't get all wrapped up in, as I say, what they say in the news. Once again, it's just sensationalism, selling newspapers, basically. I mean, the way they dress it up, the Telegraph, Chelsea's future in doubt amid fears over Roman Abramovich's 1.6 billion, just chuck on another, sort of 100 million, loan U-turn. Sir Jim Ratcliffe told he's never giving up. 27 days away from a potential Premier League expulsion. That's by the Mirror. A sale now thrown in doubt. Well, it hasn't. And it doesn't matter. Even if Roman said, do you know what, I ain't selling full stop, then the government, as I say, will just take control of the situation, allow the sale to go through, and with the money, they will then do what they see fit, and then it's down to Roman and the British government to sort that situation out. Do I think he's got a point? Yes, I fucking do. 100%. But right now we've got to think about Chelsea Football Club. You know, Abramovich's allies set to continue running Chelsea after sale. This is in the Financial Times, guys. Two of Roman Abramovich's longest-standing associates are set to keep their jobs running Chelsea Football Club if the leading bidder, a consortium led by Todd Boehly, prevails. Chelsea's chairman, Bruce Buck, 76. He's looking good for 76, is old Brucey. And director Marina Gabaskaya, 47, and so is she, have both been offered an option to stay in place under the Boehly ownership. Three people with knowledge of the matter said a move that would leave the power structures set up in recent years largely unchanged. Makes total sense, that does. The offer has not been formally agreed, if one or the pair would even choose to walk away. Buck and Grabaskaya have long-standing ties with the oligarch who put the club up for sale in the early days of Vladimir Putin's invasion of the Ukraine and has since been hit with sanctions by the UK authorities. Julian Knight, chair of the Digital Culture, Media and Sports Committee, told the Financial Times any continuity with the Abramovich regime at Chelsea is certainly an unsettling development. Don't you think you've fucking done enough, eh? There needs to be clarity surrounding the process, you know. Not like you taking the fucking 6 fucking donations from Russian oligarchs, or like your Chancellor of the Exchequer's wife taking payments as well. I mean, fucking hypocrisy is unbelievable. A US consortium led by Boehly, co-owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers baseball team, was last week selected as the preferred bidder. I think, guys, this is all going to be basically done and dusted by Friday. I really do. And I wouldn't have anything to worry about. Lord Sebco warns Chelsea may have debt for 50 years if the takeover is not completed soon. Of course, Sebco was part of the Broughton bid, the one that finished kind of second, if you like. He's warning that, let's have a look what he's got to say. He said if there's any more takeover delays, it will see the club burdened by debt for the next 50 years. Crazy, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There you go, guys. So don't worry about it. Yeah, it's all just the press doing what they always do, you know. And you just have to read between the lines at all times with whatever they say. This isn't an issue. A buyer's been found, and a very impressive buyer too that's covered every single point on point. And we are marching forward, you know, and this should all be wrapped pretty soon, and then all this nightmare's over, and let's just win that FA Cup, and then just have a break. As I say, guys, I was on 2 channels earlier on today, if you want to check them out. Goonie and Matisse, Man Knows Football. I was on that particular stream discussing all that's been going on today and in the last couple of days within the club. And I was also on Lee Gunner's channel, Lee Gunner. So check that one out as well, guys. Both videos are on the platform of chelseafc Facebook. Speak to you soon, guys. Much love. Keep the faith. Up the Chelsea. And Man City, where's your European Cup?